Hello there, and welcome to Running Down the Hill, the podcast where we get to know our guests by discussing an episode of Little House on the Prairie. The episode you're about to hear was originally released on the Sweet Shot of Time podcast feed. But don't worry, you definitely came to the right place to hear us talk about the Ingalls family and Walnut Grove. Make sure to subscribe to Sweet Shot of Time, our flagship podcast. And please, Pa, subscribe to Running Down the Hill, Little House on the Prairie original series recaps. And now on with the show, Running Down the Hill. Whew. It smells like lemon verbena in here. Hello there, and welcome to Sweet Shot of Time. I'm your host, Steve Barnes, and this is the podcast about time, of course. We're talking about 1870 right about now. It's Little House on the Prairie is what we're discussing, and today is a great episode to talk about. We're going to be talking about episode 4 from season 1, which is called, it might be episode 3, I don't know. It's called Country Girls, and this was released September 17th, 1974. This is a big episode because it's the first episode featuring Allison Arngrim playing Nellie Oleson, the iconic Nellie Oleson. And on Sweet Shot of Time here, my newest angle is to recap these classic episodes of Little House, maybe some of the new episodes of Little House, while at the same time, I want to get to know our guest by watching and discussing an episode of Little House. And I believe that Little House, as a longtime fan of it, it's truly a great catapult of conversation because there's a lot of like inspiring and funny, relatable, sometimes baffling occurrences that like inspire like interesting conversation that you wouldn't normally talk about. Little House brings us there. So for this episode, Country Girls, I'm bringing in a guest. I was a guest of hers just recently on her podcast, which is called GenX Gone Give It To Ya. And we discussed things related to Gen X and related, to folks our age, born in the 70s, watching TV in the 70s. And DeeDee was definitely part of that generation too. We talked about Little House. So let's bring her on now. Why not? So let's bring her on from Gen X Gone Give It To Ya. It's Deshanta. Ahoy there, DeeDee.
I appreciate you having me on, Steve. How are you?
Oh, I'm very full of food. I just ate. How are you?
I didn't eat too long ago myself, so the belly is happy.
Good enough. Man, I'm not going to do ads or anything like that, but I have to shout out this Richmond place. It's called Philly Vegan, and that's where I ate tonight. This is like the third time I've ordered from them, and it's like sloppy Philly cheesesteaks, except it's all vegan, and it's just delicious. And I'm going to be comatose later, I'm sure of it. It probably wasn't smart to eat that ahead of time.
Are you vegan, or is this something you're transitioning into? Interesting.
Oh, no, I'm vegetarian. Always have been ever since high school. It was around senior year of high school when I decided to stop eating meat. My mom did not like this.
That takes commitment. Good for you.
Oh, thank you. To relate this back to Little House on the Prairie in the book series, in the very first book, Little House in the Big Woods, there's a point where Paul went out hunting to get some food. They didn't have any food. This is a very poor family, the Ingalls, as we know.
Yes.
And he had a deer in his sights, but he was like, it was too beautiful for him to shoot, so he didn't shoot it. And Laura and Mary were like, thank you, Paul. Like, we don't mind. We'll eat bread. We don't mind. And it was just, as a vegetarian, it was so cool to read that in the Little House series.
True to the Ingalls girls, they represented their family to the utmost. I see that when I was watching the older episodes.
Yeah. Well, I digressed a little bit. We got to really let people know who you are here. You're my guest. This is the first time being on my show. You were kind to have me on your show, and we discussed me being Gen X. And
yes.
Yeah, let people give us your elevator pitch, or let people know, what your podcast is and where they can find your stuff.
Well, I have a couple of business ventures going on. My podcast is called GenX Gonna Give It To Ya, and it's basically a homage, a shout out, a love letter to my generation, your generation, anybody was born in that Gen X era, I believe 1965 to 1980. We grew up in a different time, and I think it resonates to how you see us react to situations today. But I wanted to make us smile again and just get in touch with our kid selves. So I started this show, and sometimes I'll talk about old TV shows. Sometimes I'll talk about old movies, music, the things that made us who we are. Sometimes I'll have guests on that I've known since childhood. Sometimes I'll have people on like you that I randomly met on Reddit. Shout out to Reddit because you have made it to my show. So there's a lot going on for me in different aspects. I originally started a t-shirt company called Sick Like Minds because my big plan is to produce films and documentaries, and you need money for that, obviously. So GenX, the podcast, and Sick Like Minds, the t-shirt company that's dedicated to nature, will help that become a solid junction.
You got to send me your stuff because I haven't seen your shirt company. So I'd like to help promote it any way I can because I like to help promote my guests.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll get you the info. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Well, let's get right into Little House because that's part of being Gen X culture. Were you into Little House at all? Was that something that you watched or did you avoid it?
When I was younger, I didn't know about it. And when I rewatched it the other day, I didn't know it started in like 1974. I don't think I caught on to the show probably until 1979, 80 maybe. So I got there late. But once I did get involved, because it was recommended to me by one of my classmates, you got to check out this show, that kind of thing. And I did, and it was good. I think Laura had me at the beginning because she was just so feisty and curious and just kind of reminded me of myself.
This episode in particular, Laura, I think we see like in this episode, Country Girls, we see like 4 distinct sides of Laura. We see like the funny spirited side when she's like talking off the cuff to her classmates. We see her aggressive side that she takes no shit like from Nellie and she pushes her right back down.
Yes.
We see her subservient side to Paul where she's like, she says, yes, sir. And she tries to take his word seriously. And then she has this like unbridled, like almost, you might call it cringe, like love for her ma. Like, so she's a really complex person and she's a really easy person to like relate with.
And you don't realize at that age that kids are really intelligent. And I don't know if they're given the credit that they truly deserve. So seeing that in Laura was really nice.
What were your favorite? If you weren't watching Little House, you only saw it on recommendation. What was like your shows that you were like super into, like at this same time frame, like in the 70s, early 80s?
What's Happening? That's My Mama. Good Times. We were probably on the cusp of the Jeffersons. And, I watched All in the Family too. Facts of Life, Different Strokes. Those are the shows that I was rocking with.
I watched all these as well. I think I referenced What's Happening as well on your podcast.
You sure did. You did.
I misunderstood a question that you asked me, and I gave that as the answer, and that was the wrong answer. You were trying to get me to say, like, what's my favorite time travel show from back then? And I just misunderstood what you said. And I was like, yeah, this show represents it. And it just, listening back, I was like, man, I hope nobody else was confused by that because, I hope they were just listening casually. It could just go right past them like it did me.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you for holding yourself accountable. That's a true Gen X move.
So we got Laura. So what about Nellie? So you got to meet Nellie in this episode. What was your impression of her like when you saw her as a kid and now?
Just bully, entitled, just annoying and persistent in her annoyance. Like she doesn't stop.
Over the top for sure. Like,
over the top, yes.
Definitely played for TV. I think she does it really well.
She did. Because she struck a nerve. I wanted to strangle her.
She really does. She does kind of give, you get like the kind of chill like on your back or you're like, ugh, like I just said before, cringe. Like she brings that out in you, but you might or might not know this, but Laura Ingalls, the actress, Nellie Oleson, the actress, and Willie Oleson, the actor, were like a little trio. They all hung out together, like off camera and like off set.
I didn't know about Willie, but I knew about Laura and Nellie.
Willie was Laura's little brother. So, like, they were California kids in the 70s. So their parents were like always passing them off to Allison's house, and they would have sleepovers a lot, apparently. I've read Allison's biography and Melissa Gilbert's biography, so I know all this stuff too much more than I should.
Is there something you think we would want to know from either of them that came out in the book?
Yeah, definitely. Willie, I think it's really funny the fact that Willie, the kid, this is the only acting job he ever had was Willie Oleson. He never acted again. He would only learn his lines so he could be surprised when he watched the episode back. I think I already told this story on the last podcast, didn't I?
I don't think so. Not about Willie, because I had a little crush on Willie. And wasn't his brother on the show too, as another character?
No, it was just Melissa Gilbert and then this guy, Michael Gilbert, I think is his name, Willie and Laura.
Oh, I thought his name was Matthew.
Matthew?
I thought that it was his name.
I mean, maybe somebody's standing up like saying, yeah, she's right. But you got one over on me. I do know that Nellie early in the days, this is a funny story, I thought, because when the show came out, it was supposed to be the story of Laura Ingalls and like her story. But because Michael Landon, he was the star of the show and he was a real heartthrob of the time. So he was kind of like the face of the show as opposed to like this kid. So there was some Hollywood party that was happening, like where they were doing some, I don't know, some fancy Hollywood party that was being in all the papers and being covered by the news. And Michael Landon was there to represent Little House. And he was there alone, like intentionally. He didn't, for whatever reason, he was like, I'm just going to go there to promote it by myself. Meanwhile, Allison Arngrim, little Nellie Oleson, this is like her, like circa the episode we just saw her. Her parents are also in Hollywood. Her dad somehow got a ticket to the same event. So she shows up and she saddles up to Michael Landon. And so she becomes like the face of the show as well, just from that one move, showing up to this thing unannounced.
Well deserved.
Yeah, that's like really like putting your foot in the door.
And that's how you have to do it, especially women in that industry.
Absolutely. Yeah, speaking of which, this show housed a lot of women writers. The showrunner, I forget her name. Somebody's going to yell at me, or maybe I can edit it in later. But the showrunners, besides Michael Landon, is a woman. Her name is Blanche. I can't remember her last name. And then a lot of the writers of the episodes are women as well, which is unusual for this time era.
I think that Michael Landon was progressive in that way, and in a lot of other ways, because this show, even in the 70s, was groundbreaking. Similar, I can't say similar to Rod Serling, but I feel like the two of them understood how to make reflections into the world so that we can understand each other better.
Yeah, he was famously Jewish, but he wanted a Christian show to I think he wanted to more or less be non-denominational, but they bring up Jesus pretty often. And he did that intentionally to like have as large of an audience as possible. And he intentionally like mixed in, sensitive topics that he wanted people to think about and talk about at the dinner table on this show that he knew had a Christian audience. So he always knew how to walk that balance between, I'm pushing the line and like shoving it down your throat and, kind of guiding you towards what's the right way.
Do you happen to know, sidetracking a little bit, but regarding Michael Landon, where did he come from before Little House? Do you know? Was he a writer, a producer? I don't know anything about him in that aspect.
He was a teen heartthrob. I mean, look at the guy. He got most famous on Bonanza. He played a character called Little Joe on Bonanza, and he was in hundreds of episodes of that when he was a teenager. And then right before Little House, or maybe it was before Bonanza, he was in I Was a Teenage Werewolf. So he turned into a werewolf in this movie. He had his nice fluffy hair. He's always been kind of a heartthrob. So he's always been a public guy since a teenager.
I did not know that. Thank you for sharing.
I kind of see him as like a David Hasselhoff type dude.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, here's the last fact. Nellie, that you're seeing her hair in this episode. You know, of course, she's like a blonde-haired white girl, so her hair is very straight.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to spend a lot of time getting her hair to be curly the way it is in this episode. And in fact, it took so long that they decided to make her a wig instead. So this is the only episode where you see her actual hair. Every other episode, she's wearing a wig.
Ah, interesting. Made it easy. Got it.
We are running long here at the intro, which I knew we would because I wanted to talk to you. But I still want to pick out at least a couple of these questions to ask you.
For sure.
Because I think these are kind of fun questions, and I want to know what you think. If you could only have one toy, like commonly back then in 1870, kids only had one toy. If you could only have one and got to choose only one toy, we're talking, 1970s what would that toy be?
It would probably be a playing deck of cards because there are so many games that you could play. And also, people don't know that back in the day before it became really burgeoning, people used playing cards as tarot decks. And I am a tarot card reader, so.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. It's very similar, except for an actual tarot deck will have the major arcana. The playing cards only have the minor arcanas, but you can still give readings.
Oh, that's really neat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I might ask you more about tarot decks offline a little bit later. That's great.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a fun answer. I guess maybe this might be the same answer, but maybe it wouldn't be. Let's say that you were 1870s DeeDee, okay? You were out there on the prairie and, you had nothing, but you could have one modern device, anything modern that you want. And if it's electric, it'll just somehow magically work. What would that be?
Honestly, this is probably going to be a classic answer many people will give, but I'm going to need plumbing.
Whoa. That's a pretty good answer, actually. You said the outhouse doesn't work for you?
Yeah, no. I mean, when I was younger, I would go down to North Carolina and visit family. So I get the whole outhouse thing. I do. And it worked for what it worked for. But knowing what we have now, it might be plumbing.
I mean, that's kind of a kind answer because like everybody in your family would benefit from that as well, not just you.
I'm a giver. I'm a lover and a giver. But if I was being selfish, I might say solar powered Wi-Fi. If I had to be nudged, solar powered Wi-Fi, because then I could still do my podcast.
Well, In order to do Wi-Fi, you're first going to need like a device
to debunk me.
Yeah. Because you'll need like a device for your Wi-Fi to pick up on. And then you'd need a microphone for this podcast. And who would listen to the podcast? How would you get it out there?
I'd have a big old house party, a block party. Everybody would be at the house, my house. We don't need no water. Let the burn. Burn. Burn.
We can curse if we want. It's okay.
I wasn't sure because when you were on my show, I got very wholesome. So I'm like, am I going to be able to be me? But you're letting me be me. So thank you.
Hell yeah. I mean, I don't know. Didn't I drop an F-bomb earlier? I thought I did. Maybe I didn't.
You did, but I'm still a guest. This is your show.
I'm trying to be very nice and wholesome as well because we know this is a wholesome Walnut Grove.
I gotta admit, and I don't know if this is the time to, but when I was watching, it wasn't episode 3. It might have been episode 2. But I was really in my feelings when Pa broke his ribs and, the guy was going to take the animal and then everybody came together and helped out. I was crying.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is how he got everybody because in my heart, I feel this is how we should be today. If you can do that, do that. I just barter. I'm all about bartering. Do you know how many readings I've given people and they've given me like a DVD set in exchange? Like, you know what I mean? That's just what it is sometimes.
Definitely.
I'm totally for that. But I love that episode. I was really touched.
Well, yeah, that brings up a different thing. I want to get into our recap, but I'm getting interested in like what you have seen. And you're talking about the a harvest of friends. And I'm going to be discussing that with my daughter in an upcoming episode. Great episode. But you're right. There's a lot of feelings in there and it's tearful. You've also seen this new series, Little House on the Prairie, on Netflix. You watched episode 4, at least episode 4 of that.
Yes.
So do you think that brings the same type of emotions, or what's your opinion of that new show?
I don't know if it was me being begrudging, loyal. I guess I could use the word loyal. So starting to watch, I was like, oh my God, why is this taking so long? What? I'm bored. But I got, I'm committed, and it did get better, but that was just my first impression. I do still like Laura. I am relating more to Mary, I think because I was the older child, but back then I related more to Laura. In this new episode, I'm more empathetic towards Mary. And it's hard being the oldest. That's just what it is. But I think Half Pint is still my favorite because she's still rebellious. She has more of the hunter in her in the new series. So you get to see more of that. I appreciate the friendship that she's developed with the natives. I felt that was an important representation. Yeah. So gradually I'm appreciating it, but I can already tell I'm probably going to continue through with the original series just because the heartstrings are just there.
I know. It's like, I don't rate the new one as quite as high, but I do give it an awful lot of credit because when I first heard about a year and a half ago that they were starting production and they were starting casting for this thing, it kind of like re-inspired my love for Little House. I went back and read the entire series, all 10 books of the Little House series by Laura Ingalls. Started watching the old series again, and my wife is in there right now in the other room. She's watching The Blizzard, an old Little House on the Prairie episode. My whole family is like wrapped up in this whole Little House thing.
Yeah.
Not because of, it is because of the new series, but we're not we're not consuming the new series. We're cheering it on. We like that it exists, but it's gotten us closer to like this old series that it just has a more special feel to it, I think, than the newer series does.
And I remember you telling me when you were on my show that you rarely go back and watch old things. So it's just cool. You really got a love for this show, and I appreciate that. You sharing that.
I was wondering if like when we're done, because we're on season 3 now, we're at the end of season 3 and there's like 6 more seasons to go. And I was wondering if we would go back and rewatch anything else like old like that. We'll discuss it when the time comes, but I really doubt it because there's so many new shows coming out. Like Dark Matter is going to be starting up pretty soon. Silo, we're not going to watch Silo until all of those episodes are released so we can watch that all at once. So I think watching all this Little House is going to enable us to catch up on new shows once we're done watching Little House.
You don't have to worry about them the next week. It'll just all be right there for you. That makes sense. Yeah. Sounds good.
So what did you think of this episode, Country Girls? As a Little House episode?
Country Girls.
Yeah, you say it good.
Because she's so snotty about it. Like, Nellie, and her mom. I just don't have it in my heart to be naturally mean or judgmental or putting it in your face. Ha ha, I got this, you don't. I'm not like that. I'm going to be like, here, you could have some.
Right. Yeah. I can't imagine being like as openly hateful as Miss Oleson is to Carolyn in this episode and as openly hateful as Nellie is in the classroom.
4 less cents for eggs. Are you kidding me? But this is what you see why Nellie is the way she is. My question for you, and I know you're not going to have the answer, but Mr. Oleson must have known what he was marrying before he married her. Like, what was going on? Because he's not a bad-looking guy. Was it an arranged marriage? I need to know.
I had the same question, like, for you, like, later in this episode. I was going to ask you the same thing. I was going to ask you, like, to ponder what their relation may be, because I honestly don't know. It's never explained. It's like, this is like one of the first episodes that you meet them. You meet Mrs. Oleson in the episode before this, but you get the clear sense that he dislikes his wife and his children.
Yes, clearly.
I mean, it's clear that she is the business owner. Like, she comes from money. She's always had money. And I don't want to say, like, because I'm not trying to like wokeify anything here, if that's even a thing. But, perhaps he doesn't even prefer to be with women. Maybe he's gay. And he's at that time, you could be openly gay if you want to be super brave. But most people couldn't like handle that in like a setting like this. So, she was maybe his beard, perhaps. And
I like that.
That's why he put up with it.
I'll take that for an answer because, like you said, he doesn't like her. And you saw that. We saw that in the first episode that he's in. And he even says, what did he say to Charles? I envy you, or something along those lines. And
absolutely,
that was crazy.
He's always dropping those hints. Like in every episode, he's rolling his eyes or something.
He does always have a crisp suit on. You might be right.
I think there's only like 2 episodes out of everything we've seen, because there's maybe like 30 episodes per season. So we probably watched 50 episodes by this point. And I've only seen him be like nice and flattering to his wife, maybe on 2 occasions. That's it. Where he'll say something nice and like mean it, or like he'll defend her in some sort of way. But usually he doesn't even defend her. He just kind of looks disgusted.
He does, or embarrassed, or just over it.
Sweet Child of Time is brought to you by Zencastr. Zencastr is the way we record Sweet Child of Time. We hook up with our guests via video, and we record it on audio. Recently, we've been doing video podcasts with the cast of Time Bandits. It's easy using Zencastr. You can record video or audio. You can also edit your podcast or your video via Zencastr. Join Zencastr using my promo code Sweet Child of Time, and you can get 30% off Zencastr. If you're ready to start your podcast, it's time to share your story. Share it with Zencastr. That promo code, once again, Sweet Child of Time at Zencastr.com. Well, let's talk about the other family, the nice family, the Ingalls.
Okay.
I'm actually going to start walking us through the episode here. So I'll still be asking you questions, of course. And if you have questions for me, throw them on here.
Okay.
But we start out and we got Jack drinking out the creek. We got the regular morning time with the Ingalls, and they're getting ready for school. Carrie she did this in the first like few episodes of the season, where it would be like a gag where she would be trying to go upstairs to like her sister's room to like spy on them or something. And Carolyn and Charles would have to take her off the ladder. I thought this was, you mentioned Mary earlier, how you appreciate her, because I really kind of don't appreciate Mary. But she's here brushing her hair. It looks like she's doing like the Marsha Brady, like 100 hairbrush thing. So I got to ask, so you were a girl back then, and you had to go to school in elementary school. Did you have like a long, like elaborate hair routine in the morning?
I remember a time where I was brushing it. I can't say 100 times, but I know that it was something prevalent. But most of the time back then, I would say my hair was in like 2 ponytails or a bang and 2 ponytails.
These are easy styles then.
Yeah, easy styles, but definitely brushing, because I didn't like it standing up. So yes, brushing, a little water, then I was good to go.
Yeah, so Mary has this beautiful blonde hair, and Laura's so jealous of it. And but anyway, Laura doesn't want to go to school on the first day. She's hiding under the covers, and Paul has to go upstairs and rally her to go. School is optional at this time. Did you kind of get that gist in this episode, that you don't really have to go to school?
Yep, it was mentioned, and I thought it quite interesting, but for the time, it made sense. I was just curious as to why Laura wasn't as interested, but then I remember that she's more of a tomboy and likes hunting and being with Pa. So it made sense, but I felt a little bad for her when it was time to go to school.
Yeah. A really interesting thing about her tomboyish is we just watched an episode called The Hunter from season 3. And she's on a hunting trip with Charles, and it's just the two of them. And they're sitting by the fire, and she's talking about how she often fantasizes about like what it had been like if she had been born a boy and how she, kind of wishes she was a boy and she's more like a boy than a girl. And I was like, holy crap, they're having this conversation in 1976. And it's more normalized now, but like back then I thought it was kind of groundbreaking, but I don't think anybody realized it.
No, and you just added to my thoughts from the beginning of our conversation where I said that show just opened up so many doors, but I didn't even realize that one. That's heavy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, to a little kid like Laura, I think she's 9 or 10 in this episode, going to school is heavy, like having to do this whole thing. She goes downstairs, she gets dressed, she has Ma inspect their hands to make sure that all the dirt out of their fingernails and stuff. And she was a school teacher as a character of the show, and also the real Carolyn Ingalls was a school teacher. And so she had school books. So she was able to send the kids to school with these books. So in this show, she did the same thing. So they were proud. That's a big deal for them because, as you see later in this episode, they're dirt poor. So just having anything in their hands when they show up in school is a bonus.
Yes.
I think it's fun when they depart for school. Carrie wants to be big like Laura and Mary, and Laura wants to be little like Carrie so she can stay home.
Right. I peeped that too because it's funny how even at her age, she knew that being adult wasn't the way to go. Yep. And I can't knock her for that, but I did peep when she said that to her sister.
Yeah. They're both trepidatious about showing up to school. They're kind of brave and holding hands, showing up together. Yeah, Laura kind of shows up with a bang. She like immediately shows up with a quip for everybody. And they immediately start getting teased by the other kids, and they're calling them long-legged snipes. Does this mean anything to you?
I tried to figure out what they meant as they were chanting because, kids being kids started to tag along and repeat it, but I didn't know what it meant and I didn't look it up. I just figured we'd talk about it.
What do you think? Take a wild guess. What do you think a long-legged snipe is?
I honestly don't know. I don't know.
You plead the fifth.
Tell me, Steve. Tell me.
Well, I didn't know either. So, I'm not coming at you like wise or anything.
Oh, you don't know?
I do know because I did look it up, but I didn't know immediately. And that's what me and my wife were wondering when we were watching this episode for the first time. But yeah, a long-legged snipe is a common name for like a stork or any kind of bird that like has like long legs and like a body that sits up high off their legs.
Were the kids saying both of them were snipes, or were they specifically targeting Laura?
They were saying snipes plural, but it seemed like they were targeting Laura because she's the one that had those black boots that went all the way up to her knees.
Got you. Okay.
Which are cool boots, by the way.
I would probably wear those boots. Like, that's probably why it didn't click for me what they were making fun of.
Yeah, why make fun of awesome boots?
Right.
A snipe is also a thing, too. It's not so common anymore, but like definitely back in the 50s through the 90s, and for Boy Scouts and for people who went camping or for hunters, they would send like the newest kid, like the rookies, on a snipe hunt. And they would give them a flashlight and some kind of weapon, and they would make up some weird story about what a snipe is. Like, I was hunting here last year for snipes and I came upon one and it was a 5 foot tall, blah, 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 blah. And it's actually nothing. It's just a prank, and they just prank the kid. So it's, unless you're a really good prankster or you have a really good leader for that type of thing, you really have to have a good personality leading that type of thing. Because if you just get like a boring dude doing it, it's not so fun. Guess what, kid? I was just making it up.
Yeah. And then he gets his house egged. But anyway.
So yeah, Nellie has something to say. She immediately clocks them as country girls. And she like, girls. Yeah, you do it real good. I was going to ask you to do it, and I don't have to. You're on it.
I like to be prepared.
Yeah, that's something that Allison Arngrim, she had to get that role, that line right. That was like a big thing for her. That's how she got the role of Nellie was by saying that phrase country girl. But then when she had,
Really?
but then when she had to film it, she was like super nervous about it. So she like practiced saying country girls for like 2 weeks. And she was very nervous about it.
Nellie. What did you think of Willie?
I love Willie. I don't understand. Like, I mean, he's crappy sometimes and he's part of the wrong family, but I don't even know if he has a good heart, but he's just so adorable in my opinion.
I agree. It's like you feel bad for him because of who his sister is, you know?
And she does lead him astray and he does do some bad stuff, but I mean, his line delivery is so cute.
Right. I saw a recap today. Nellie was getting in trouble. So the teacher was like, go sit in the corner. And then both of them, the brother, Willie gets up and Nellie gets up. And they're like, not you, Willie. And he's like, I'm so used to just being in trouble. Aw.
Miss Beadle would send him to the corner for anything he would say. And sometimes I think it was unjustified. And other times I think she should be sending Laura and Nellie to the corner more often than she is because they get away with saying lots of stuff.
I'm looking forward to rewatching it because today was just magical, like old school magical. GenX gonna give it to you magical.
Yeah, exactly. So Christy seems cool. Like you clock almost immediately that everybody else is teasing and she's like telling her brother not to tease them.
Yes.
Just simply on sight alone. And that seems more like your and my speed, right?
Right, because you gotta stand up. Somebody has to speak up. Because I was like, who is that? But go her, you know? I'm gonna tell Mom if you don't stop.
Yep.
Tell her. Yeah. That's how it should be. I love Steve, thank you. Because I don't know if I would have watched Little House, you know? So thank you.
Oh, this is great. We could end right now and it'd be all good. I got what I wanted. I got my family and you addicted to it.
Yeah.
So let's see. Oh, yeah. Then they come to the classroom. They're really nervous to walk in. I've never had to do this before, be introduced to the class as the new kid. I've always started at the beginning of the school year at a new place like anybody else. Have you ever had to do this where you had to introduce yourself to the class on the first day kind of thing?
I remember when living in the Bronx, we moved to a different section of the Bronx. We moved to Co-op City. So when I moved to Co-op City, school had already started. I was in third grade, but school already started. So yes, I had to introduce myself, but everyone was really friendly and just made it a smooth transition for me and my sister.
Not like a TV show like this. Not like
no.
Getting the Nellie stare down.
The mean kid, because there wasn't a lot, but the mean kid came later.
Yeah, I had a couple of mean kids, dude. Absolutely. I'll name them. Tom Scales, he was a total bully. He was a very Nellie Oleson type. I probably could have been friends with Tom Scales, but I was too nervous and sensitive at the time. So he was a really funny kind of bully, and I probably could have joked back, but I didn't know how to at the time. But then there was an evil bully on my bus, Ricky Holtz, and his family owns Holtz Electrical around here in Richmond. And he was a super bully, and I bet he's a bully to his employees.
I was going to say something, but I won't.
Okay.
I'm glad you're here to tell the story, though.
He punched me in the nose uncalled for, just out of nowhere. And luckily, Paige Stevens was there. Maybe she's even listening now because she's a friend to this day. She definitely called him out. And I had to have Paige Stevens defend me. I mean, come on.
You didn't get your own payback?
Not with Ricky.
You can't say on the radio. Okay.
No, never with Rick. He was a big, scary dude. So no, it was out of the question. It was more of an avoidance. If I avoid this guy, that's the best I can do.
I hope you've changed, Ricky. I hope you've seen the light.
I'm sure he has. He's my age now. He probably has children, and I see his trucks around town. He's got a good business going. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. God love you, Ricky Holtz.
Shout out to Ricky Holtz.
Let's see. They're introduced as the Plum Creek Girls because most of these kids live within the town proper. The Ingalls live way outside of town, so they got to walk a long ways to get into town. I don't know if they made that clear or not in this episode.
I knew that they did, but I don't know if it was from this episode, I just know that they walked far.
A weird thing about this episode too is this is like the first and only episode where they like walk like up the meadow, like through like the stuff. Like they're supposed to walk over to the left. There's a path to the left of that tree, the road that leads to school. But for some reason, they're going up the hill to the right. I guess that was just a weird filming choice that
The
episode.
shooting, yeah.
This is the only episode they did that, and I had to call it out. Let's see, Laura's, she's not having a great first day. She can't read. She admits this to the teacher. Kids are laughing at her because she doesn't understand these modern fandangled chalkboards.
Oh, yeah, the chalkboard.
Yeah.
And I like that they gave Willie the opportunity to
demonstrate.
Teach, yeah, opposed to something else. They could have continued to let him be a menace like his sister, but, they gave him his own personality.
I mean, that's another side thing about Willie too, is like the character Willie, of course we hate him, but he's always engaged in a game of marbles with Laura. Like he and Laura throughout the series, at least up until now, season 3 towards the end, they have like an ongoing marbles game where they're trading stuff back and forth. And they're always talking about the Aggie and the different marble names that they win from each other. So even though they're kind of enemies, they still like gamble with each other.
Yeah, I think Willie would have chose not to be an Olsen, if that makes sense. He just wants to be. I think he just wants to be.
He wants a horse. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
This is, again, Nellie is laying on the insult about country girls. And I thought this was interesting because when they later are telling Pa, she called us country girls. And Pa's like, yeah, that's what you are. We live in the country. And it made me think about other things that people would say. You're from Virginia Beach, or you're not from Virginia Beach. You live in Virginia Beach.
Yes.
I remember as a kid going to Virginia Beach, and I remember like the phrase like tourist was almost like an insult. And like you were ashamed to be like a tourist at the beach, when in fact that's what you were,
Yes.
And the other example I can think of is like, I hate the phrase woke, that we say things are woke, but then at the same time, somebody says, oh, such and such is woke. And I'm like, yeah, maybe it is. Is that okay? I mean, it's fine. So do you have any other examples where something is like portrayed as an insult, but it's like kind of the truth?
I had to think about this question.
Yeah.
Yes. What came to mind was I've encountered people, because I've been doing this, and you're going to be like, oh, you didn't tell me this, but now I'm telling you.
All right.
I've been doing this psychic thing since the 90s. So there'll be people who be like, oh, but you're psychic, so you should know. Well, we don't know everything. Duh. But if you want to go there, thank you for the compliment, because you must have heard something good about me and you're just trying to make me feel bad. So thank you. So yes, I relate in that way.
Yeah, something else Laura brings home, a tale of the way Miss Beadle smells. And she talks about her lemon verbena, her perfume. Are you familiar with that? Is that something you've ever heard of until now?
I hadn't heard the smell, or the fragrance rather. It felt like Laura was just enchanted with being on the outside, in the outside world. Does that make sense? That's how I took it. Like, she's just so enamored by the things that she's experienced that everything is just beautiful and wonderful. And I'm not saying that it's not. I think that the teacher is an awesome person, but seeing the reflection from a child is just so beautiful and wonderful. So it made me smile.
Yeah. Okay. You led that a nice way. Like I think Laura was really overexpressive about all that. And especially, she kept mentioning this lemon verbena, and they talk about this in the series a lot. It's like a common thing that comes up. And I've just never heard of it before.
In a good way or a bad way?
And I mean, that's just a common fragrance that women, when they want to smell fancy, they put on lemon verbena. Yeah,
no, I've never heard of it, but it just felt like Laura was seeing butterflies and she wanted to hop on the back of one of them,
Yes. Oh man. Yeah. Sometimes it was a little much, Laura, but that's At least she's not like the Olsen kids. We go to the Olsen household in the morning before school, and these kids are unruly, and they're like grabbing candy and like eating candy on the way out the door. Mr. Olsen is like telling them stuff, and they're just like ignoring him completely.
And they probably can't even sit on half of the furniture in their house because of their mom.
You know, that's a good point. The store is a place that can go nuts.
Yes.
I never knew, like in Richmond, there were a lot of like, especially in the 70s and 80s, there were a lot of smaller, like locally owned, like restaurants, corner stores, shops where it would have like the person's last name on the store. And like I would go to school with like their kid who had the same last name too, kind of like Olsen's Mercantile. But I don't remember any kids being like as bratty as the Olsen kids. I was just curious if you had the same situation, if you had like business kids or like their parents did stuff and like they were notorious because of their parents.
I'm thinking I don't. And when I do think of kids and parents and small businesses and the unified front, they've always been respectful. They've always known the product. What pops into my mind specifically is a few Chinese restaurants growing up. You know,
Sure.
They would have their kids in the restaurants, and they would be sitting at their desk when they're 5, 6 years old, doing their homework, being, polite and minding the business. And then 3 years later, they're taking the orders behind the counter, still polite and respectful. And then you see that happening in other small family businesses. It's always, I've never seen kids like the Olsen kids in a business environment acting in that way. Maybe stopping in at a restaurant that I might have been working at and being unruly, but never behind the scenes of where their parents conducted business.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. There was kids that I knew that would be wild outside, but yeah, within their parents' businesses and stuff, they were always professional. Everybody that I knew in that situation, just like you said, in our case, there was like a Greek restaurant that a family owned and like all the kids that were underage worked there, but it was like, they were nothing like the old, they didn't.
Yeah.
They were polite kids. Cash on the barrel. I don't know if that's like strictly a Little House thing. Is that something you're familiar with?
Growing up, I know that, let's say I had to run, my mom was out maybe at work or something. I was the only child at the time, but
okay,
I was allowed to run to the corner store and be like, hey, can I grab this? And my mom will stop by tonight or tomorrow with the money. So yes, we did have lines of credit. It wasn't extensive, but corner stores for sure. I remember memories of that.
There's still places in Richmond that will do that as well, like really small businesses, like video stores and record stores and like comic shops that will do like lines of credit that same way. And they only accept cash. There's still plenty of cash only businesses in Richmond. Yeah, Charles tries to stick to that cash on the barrel thing. Laura tries to drop that same knowledge. But the Ingalls that's the funny thing about the Ingalls is like, sometimes they're portrayed as like this like rugged, hardworking family that pulls themselves up by the bootstraps, but they were always getting credit. They were always on government programs. They were always getting charity.
Yes.
And they always were part of their community. So it's like that was the reality of the Ingalls.
And I feel like the last part of what you said was key. They were part of the community. And most times it's beneficial that you are a part of the community. I'm not saying the community won't help someone who might not be heavily invested in the community, but there just seems to be a slight difference. And there's no judgment in that, but that's why community is so important, because somebody somewhere is going to need help at some point. And Charles and his family always got the backing because they always provided backing however they could. It might not have been monetarily, but they made sure families stayed families and together and ate and stayed warm. Like, it's just a wholesome show.
Every episode, Charles is like working on something for somebody. Making a coat rack for the doc, or making a wheelchair for Nellie or something.
Always something. But he was good. He was a builder.
let's talk about somebody bad now. We're going to go into the Oleson shop. That's where we are. We're at the Oleson shop. And this is the next scene where we have Carolyn coming in, selling the eggs to Miss Oleson. Miss Oleson is as snotty as she can be, downing the brown eggs. Now, I feel that this is race coded and it's more ammunition for us to hate the Olsons. Do you agree with me on this?
Yeah, I know that I would have knocked all that shit over. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Carolyn, in her mind, that's what she was doing. Like,
yes.
This is about as mean as you can get when it comes to her.
Disrespectful. And this is where I feel like Mr. Oleson could have stepped up a little. Like, he didn't have to be disrespectful towards his wife, but hey, this is a patron. You know what I mean? She gives us business.
Instead, he just angrily cuts the cheese. That's all he's doing is angrily cutting the cheese.
Grow some, please.
The thing that blows my mind is like that brown eggs are actually like the shell is thicker, which like denotes that the hen was like healthier when it laid it. It had more calcium.
Exactly.
White eggs have a very thin shell, and they're really easy to break, and they're really easy to cook with. And I think that's the reason people prefer white eggs. But brown eggs is what I've always eaten. I was raised on them because they're come from a healthier source. Mm-hmm. And although you have to work more to like whip them up, it's definitely like a fluffier source. And she had double yolks.
That's what I was going to say. Yes. Caroline had double yolked eggs. Like, come on.
I mean, she got her comeuppance. She eventually like sold some of these eggs to her husband's co-workers, and then Miss Oleson came back around. But I mean, she came back around
because she was going to lose money.
Exactly,
other than that, she didn't care.
I mean, this is the most we've seen. Carolyn comes home. She's seething. This is just clearly this episode sets like Ingalls v. Oleson is what this is all about.
Yes. The nerve.
Back on the playground next day, everyone's doing what Nellie says. Everybody follows what Nellie does. She's a rich girl in town. I guess she's the most popular too, for whatever reason, because she supplies candy to the kids. I think that's the whole gist. Until, they get into a little shoving match here. Nellie shoves Laura down 3 times before Laura turns around and shoves Nellie down once.
I was wondering if it was going to happen at all.
Me too.
So yay. Like, this is ridiculous. And she got a good shove at the end though.
I mean, she gave her like 3 strikes and you're out. That's exactly what she did. And I thought that was pretty kind of her.
Good point.
But I love that, like, I can't remember what she yelled at Nellie when she pushed her down, but like she really told her what's what when she did that.
They were arguing about what game they wanted to play. And I forgot Laura's game because I'd never heard of it before. But
me neither.
And Nellie wanted to play, what was it, Ring Around the Rosie?
Yeah, over and over and over again.
Yes. So that battle had to go down. So, because you only got to knock a bully down once, like one good time, they'll get it.
At least now they're equals. There's the power dynamic is done. They're on the same level. And Paul, he supports this because it's like he sees it and Laura sees this as to like do unto others. They're like getting biblical with us here. Like, this is what the Bible tells us to do.
Right. And this is one of the questions I had for you, but we got to go back. We got to go to the new little house.
Sure.
And I don't know if this is why they chose to do this. So, but you bringing up biblical made me think of it. Why do you think they went with the spiritual aspect, like the afterlife aspect?
Do you mean like in the show in general or in this one instance?
In the new series, like when they were sick with the fever, what do you think made them revisit people that had passed or go into the afterlife?
That's a good question, and I hate to give you like a base answer, but I'm gonna do base and like the negative sense of the word is I just saw it as a story building device, like a way to show us these characters' backstories, and it also would give all the characters while they're portraying being sick, and while we can build the character of Dr. Tan up to make sure that he can be helpful. it gave all the characters while they were sick something to overcome, especially Laura in that episode, more so than anybody. So I kind of didn't get like a lot of like deep feelings from some of the things that they were going back and experiencing in those like weird haze dreams. I can speak to the fact that almost everything that they were daydreaming about during that fugue state was like stuff that was factual to the Ingalls family history.
All right. So they were just giving us insight into who they are as a family.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering. I thought it was cool because of who I am and the way I think. And I'm always trying to see how TV, film, media is trying to open up the space for spirituality. I didn't know if that's the route they were taking. So I thought I'd ask a different perspective.
Yeah. Okay. Once again, I went on a different direction than your question, because when it came to spirituality, if I want to tie spirituality into that whole thing, I guess me as a base person, I don't. That's what I think. That's the point I was trying to make originally, is I don't really have anything. I didn't see anything spiritual from that. I saw it as they're feverish. So when you're feverish, you have these fever dreams. And in their cases, all their fever dreams involved stories they could wrap up. And luckily, some of the fever dreams led Jack and Laura to safety. So yeah, I didn't look at it from a spiritual aspect. I don't know if I'm sorry to say that, but I feel like it's a disappointing answer.
Everybody has their beliefs and their takeaways. I have to respect that, you know?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, like no judgment. I just am always looking for the light for people, maybe.
Well, yeah, give me some light then. What you obviously, I think, well, not obviously, but it seems to me like you might have gotten a spiritual angle from that. Did you?
I feel like each individual that experienced their interactions with whoever they came upon reminded them of something they may have forgotten in that time frame, but it put them back on course or reminded them of a perspective that they won't forget after having that experience.
Okay.
But it wasn't nothing big. It was just a question.
No, that's great. I'm glad we're talking about it, because I love talking about Little House. So and spirituality is a big part of it.
It was just refreshing to see. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I was just gonna go into the next thing, which is Pa playing fiddle in the house. Like he eventually starts playing fiddle. I had a little bit of this in my grandparents' house. My granddad had an organ, like one of those little fun machine organs in the living room. And he like had sheet music, and he liked to play like the church hymns and stuff, but it was still cool. You know, it was a cool thing. Did you have anybody in your house playing music?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned organs. My grandma Thomas had one in her living room.
Okay.
Had, music, but I can't ever say, I always wondered why not a piano. And this is a little kid thinking, I don't know. But I'm like, an org, it was just so unique to me. I didn't hear my grandmother ever play it.
Oh.
But learning years later that like she sang opera and she was a singer. And why didn't I know this? And why didn't I learn the organ? And what's happening now? But my grandmother had an organ. It was just curious. But besides that, growing up in the household, it was more no one actually playing instruments, but musically constantly playing.
Sure.
Genres, R&B and disco and some pop and just always music playing. I was a big radio TV person. That was just me. But for example, if let's say I got my report card, I wasn't a bad student. I was an okay student.
Okay.
But let's say I didn't do so good in a particular class, not so good as maybe like a C. So I'm in my mind, I already know what's going to happen. Go home, show the report card. And then someone would be like, you know what this means, right? And I'd be like, yes, I can't watch any TV. Oh. But in my mind, I'm like, but I got the radio. And this happened, like, I don't know how many times, but so, okay, remember the episode, Mary was making fun of Laura, the new episode, because she didn't know how to read. So Laura, it was like, oh, well, in case you don't know what patience, she spelled out patience. And then she's like, in case you don't know, I just spelled out patience, and then Laura threw like a drink on her or something, and she's like, in case you don't know, your dress is wet. So it was just classic, but they were always bickering and bantering, and Laura had said something, so her mom was like, go out into the fields and get woods, and Mary's like, don't you know she likes to do that? And that's what made me think of me and the music thing, like not being able to watch TV. So Little House was very relatable. I very enjoyed today's episodes.
Yeah, for me, like, yeah, same thing. I was not a great student either, and I would constantly get, TV privileges taken away. Radio privileges always existed, so that was, like you said, it was a saving grace. But for me, music was always a background while I looked at magazines and read books and did writing and stuff like that. So they could take everything away from me, but they would never take away my Stephen King books. So I would always have those to read.
What's your favorite Stephen King book?
Probably The Stand.
The Stand.
It's the one that I've read the most, I think. And I'm more of an early Stephen King fan up until the mid 90s. I didn't really read much of his stuff after that. You Stephen King?
I did read it, and I believe I read Carrie. I read a few. It stands out into my mind because it was terrifying. Because your mind creates the craziest things. Even after the movies, my mind still created some crazy stuff. But yes, I did read some Stephen King books early on as well. Great writer. But you said him, and so I had to ask.
Of course, yeah. I had a super overactive imagination. So yeah, I would read these things and they would be vivid in my mind, and I would have nightmares, and I'd be afraid to go places by myself. Like, I was that way up until my 40s, I'm telling you. Like, it's only now that I can watch like something really scary and walk away from it okay. That's a recent occurrence.
I'm going to change the subject just very quickly because I don't know if you've seen it, but have you seen Obsession?
Yeah, I just saw it about a week ago, in fact.
What did you think of that?
I think the hype might have ruined it for me because I haven't seen Backrooms or Obsession. And I kept hearing these two movies getting compared as companion pieces because they're by new, young filmmakers and they were made on small budgets. And it was always like Obsession is the superior of the two. And so I went into it expecting, to be really wowed by it. And I was compelled by it. And it succeeded in like freaking me out and like lots of like on my edge, chills down my spine, good acting from the female lead.
Definitely.
But I hated the male lead so much. And I guess like I couldn't suspend my disbelief enough to be like, you need to be going to the police, like from the first thing. So like I was that guy, like that ruins movies by like yelling in the theater, like, don't go in that room. Like I didn't care for, I walked away not caring for it, but I'm in the minority though. What about you?
I was disturbed. Like you said, female actress, phenomenal. His choices, horrible. Because we don't have to go all into it. We started on the horror movie thing and it popped into my head. I don't want to ruin it for anybody that might not have seen it, but he could have made a lot of better choices.
Amen.
I will just say that if he would have just answered the question that she asked him honestly, yes, there would have been a movie, but there wouldn't have been this outcome either. Like, there's a point where you just have to grow some. You know what I mean? He had his shot, but you chose to do that. That's all. Thank you for humoring me, and back to Little House.
Well, like on the same subject here, Stephen King, Carrie. You mentioned Carrie. We got Carrie Ingalls here in Little House on the Prairie. And every episode, I want to do what I'm going to call the translation corner for Carrie. Maybe we'll do like a little como esta, très bien.
Okay.
Dankeschön, like domo arigato. Carrie had one line in this episode, and a little bit later on, in the scene we're about to get to, Carolyn is taking this fine linen that she got from Mrs. Oleson, and she's making these two dresses for her girls, and she gives the girls the dresses. And then Carrie says a line here. Were you able to decipher what Carrie said?
Was one of the parents holding Carrie?
Yes.
Damn, yes, I do. I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember at the moment. But I did decipher it. because they all laughed because they understood what she said. Like, we all understood. I just forgot. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Like, but that's the whole point is like, this is Carrie's, like, this is her thing is there'll be a situation happening. Carrie will say a line and you can't understand what the hell she's saying, or maybe you can because of the subtitles, but she says some undecipherable line and then everybody will laugh and then the scene ends. And just like Willie, because a lot of people don't like the actor that portrays Willie, they don't like Willie in general. I love him and I love Carrie, at least up until season 3, because I love the way she does this. In this episode, she's jealous that she's not jealous, but she sees that her 2 sisters got these new dresses. And then she says to her mom, you can make a dress
the doll
for my dolly.
Yes, the doll. Which was nice because she must have knew it was. I felt like she knew that there wasn't much fabric left.
Yeah. Or maybe there was just enough.
Just enough. But she knew that there wasn't enough for her, you know, but she was humble in that way. Like their family is just humbled like that.
She didn't expect one. She could have been a brat. Where's my dress?
And she could have been Nellie. Yeah.
I guess she understood too. These dresses were for the girls, like for this. They're this big nerdy event that the girls are all excited about, going to school, taking their parents, and saying this big essay in front of the class. So, like, Carolyn wanted to make these dresses for them for that occasion. So I guess Carrie kind of understood, like, this is for the school thing, and I'm not in school yet.
I have a question.
Okay.
Speaking of Carrie, whenever I know Laura, I know Mary, Ma, Pa. I know Carrie, but I only know Carrie from when the opening of the show and she's running down the hill.
Uh-huh.
I know you don't know the answer, but why don't I have, if Carrie is that age then, do I ever see Carrie grown? Like, how old does Carrie get for us? Because I don't remember Carrie besides being a baby.
She gets sidelined big time. I'm not sure why exactly. I mean, by reading the biographies of some of the other actors, Carrie was played by twins. There was 2 girls that played Carrie, and they're Southern, and their mom was just apparently a real piece of work. And she was just difficult to be around. She wanted her kids to be Hollywood kids. The kids were adorable, but I think that the mom was kind of like an overbearing stage mom type. So ultimately, the role of Carrie kind of got sidelined when the Ingalls, like during like the craze of like the 80s and stuff, and you start having they start introducing younger kids to TV shows. Like in the Brady Bunch, you get Oliver, and in Facts of Life, you get that little blonde-haired kid. And just in Little House, they start adopting other kids. They adopt little Albert, and then they adopt these other 2 kids.
Albert.
And so we focus more on Albert than we do on Carrie, which is I don't know why, but I think it has to do with just, if you're a easy person to get along with, you'll probably do better in your job than if you're really difficult to get along with, or you have an overbearing parent that's making difficult decisions or making life difficult for the showrunners. They might give you less of a role.
Interesting. It makes sense. Do you know about how old, when the show ended, do you know about how old Carrie was?
I guess the show ran for 9 years. So she's probably like 4 in this episode. So yeah, 12 or 13 when the series ended.
I do not remember this girl. Interesting.
Nobody does.
Oh.
I'm going to meet her though. I'll be meeting her. I'm going to Nashville in September for the Little House reunion.
You are?
And yeah. And the Carrie twins will be there. So I'll get to hopefully get a selfie with them or something.
Oh, that's what's up. Tell them I said what's up.
I will. DeeDee says, what's up?
Yeah, that's all.
They'll be like, hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm having a good time, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, our episode's running a little long here. It might be running long for you, but we've gone way longer than this. But we're rounding it out here. Are you still with me, Deshanta?
I'm still with you, yes.
All right. So yeah, the school is doing this thing where everybody gets to bring their parents into town and listen to their essays. Carolyn is working late into the night making what they think is going to be her dress. and Charles wakes up in the middle of the night and she's working and it's well past midnight. And yeah, this is something that I've done less with the advent of phones, I'm going to admit. But pre-phones, I would definitely get myself lost in songwriting or playing music or reading, and I would completely lose track of time. Do you ever do that? Lose track of time doing some kind of hobby in the middle of the night?
Honestly, I'm the type of person that whatever it is I'm doing, I'm going to keep doing it until it's done. And this is horrible to say, but that even includes like eating or going to the bathroom. Obviously, if I can't take it no more, I'm going to go to the bathroom, but I need to get it done. It's like, do it. You know? And it's like, oh, I'm hungry. I'm just like that with some things.
My wife is that way too. She gets obsessed with whatever hobby, whatever thing she's building. We're on camera. Nobody can see us because that's audio podcast, but you can see behind me. You see I have all my musical instruments in this cabin. My wife built that for me.
Aww.
And she spent like 3 days not eating, not sleeping. I had her chained up here in the room while she was working on this thing, obsessed. And yeah, that's totally how she's way more apt to do that than I am.
Shout out to the family, by the way.
Absolutely.
It looks good.
Oh, thank you very much. So let's see. Oh yeah, we show up. We're going to go ahead and skip ahead to the big essay day.
Okay.
And first we got little Willie. I love this little guy talking about horses and his dad's going to buy him the nicest pony in town, right? Do you remember this?
Yes.
Okay. And then Nellie goes up afterwards. Do you want to tell us about Nellie's essay?
Nellie, well, I would have started off sarcastic. Nellie nicely goes up to the front. Everybody's there, parents, teacher, kids. And she just explains how her family has so much and they're so privileged and everything is so expensive and everything is wonderful. And the thing that caught my attention was I can't remember what she said she had for when someone special came over, but that hasn't happened yet.
They have like this nice furniture that nobody can sit on. Yeah.
Right. But no one has come to visit yet. Do you wonder why, Nellie? Do you wonder why? It's your mama and it's you.
But you saw her mom all proud of her. She's super proud.
She's like, go ahead, girl, go ahead. Nellie's too much. That's just about it. And just braggadocious, you know, like extra. We know, Nellie. We know.
I think when we were texting earlier, I told you that this episode is Nellie, like we're introduced to her, but this is like level 1 Nellie. Yes. She gets like way worse with time.
Yes, I was watching on YouTube. They had like top 15 Nellie moments. Oh. So you can imagine what those were. But what stood out to me, and you know, there was 15 of them, but what stood out to me was they were in school. A new student had arrived, handsome young guy, maybe like, I don't know, 14, 15, I don't know. But he's standing up in the front of the classroom with the teacher. The teacher says, we just got to find him, you know, students, we just got to find him a seat. Where is he going to sit? So the camera pans to Nellie and Willie. Next thing you know, Nellie gives Willie the biggest elbow you could imagine. And dude is on the floor. And she's like, he could sit here. Beagle, Miss Beagle, we could sit here. But I could tell, I know Willie in real life was in pain. Nellie played that part too good for some cute boy. But he was like, bam. It was funny. I was hysterical. It was funny.
I mean, they were pals. So like probably she did nail them pretty good just because they were comfortable with each other. Yeah. That reminds me of something that I failed to mention earlier, which I mean, ties in perfectly with what you're saying here. Melissa Sue Anderson is the actress who plays Mary. And she's famously like standoffish, or she was famously standoffish from the other kids. She didn't like hang around with them. She didn't associate with them or talk to them. Oh. So she and Melissa Gilbert like hated each other. So when you see these moments with Laura and Mary, like being buddies and getting along and loving each other. They're like being very good actresses. But in this episode, Melissa Sue Anderson slaps Melissa Gilbert's hand really hard when she's trying to like touch the dress. And you can see and hear that it hurts the actor's hand when she does that.
I'm going to go back and watch. I remember seeing that, but I'm going to go back and watch. Oh, man, that sucks.
Yeah, so she was probably getting some aggression out on her in that moment.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody gets along. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. We don't get to hear Mary's essay, but we know from context clues and from other characters that her essay is about them arriving to Plum Creek, and she makes Paul out to be like a big hero building their cabin and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then Laura, of course, as always, outshines her sister. She gets up there with this beautiful soliloquy about her mom and like how wonderful and giving and selfless her mom is. Her mom's crying. Like, this is beautiful. And this ties in with the new series, because there's a scene in this new series, Little House, where Laura, the character Laura, gets up in front of the crowd and like does the same thing, reads an essay, but freestyles it instead of reading what's on the piece of paper in front of her. So I think it's kind of neat that they tie back into that. But Ma, I think this is kind of crappy where Ma is like, you didn't really write that. You need to go back and tell the teacher the truth. I was appalled personally. I was pissed off at Carolyn. Do you think it's justified, or what was your opinion of that?
I felt like it was Charles speaking, holding on to like all the values that he's been trying to instill in the family. I don't know if I could say I was mad at Caroline. I think she could have just let it ride. Like some things you don't have to reveal. You just take your kid to the side. You take your family to the side and you have a discussion. Whether she had to go to the teacher and be like, this is what happened. But I do like how, she showed what she wrote. It was very simplistic, but it nailed what she said.
Yes.
And I was actually surprised that Nellie didn't stand up like, she's not even reading from a piece of paper. How does she know all that? I was expecting that.
Good call.
I do feel like Ma could just let it go. Like, you don't have to touch point everything. Not every. And like Charles said in another episode, she's still a kid. Yes. And then there was an episode where Laura said to Charles, I'm not a baby anymore. So it's always like this battle of my child versus I'm growing. Please give me that grace to let me use my common intelligence. But in that moment, I think Carolyn could have just let it ride. Like, she saw that she tried. She saw the words were there, and she just was being Laura,
I like, as a viewer, we see her writing these words. We see her crumpling them up. We see her hiding them. Carolyn reads the words, but then she doesn't show us what they say. I like the way they hide the whole essay and what the essay actually says until the end. And like you said, it's like just so simplistic and sweet. I'm really into that. And I think it ties in with something you said earlier about how kids have more going on than we realize, and they're smarter than we know. And this is like a blaring example of that. Laura can get up in front of everybody and say these wonderful things, and she can speak so clearly about her feelings. But when it comes to mechanicals, like writing these words down, she kind of is not that good at it. So you really have to dig deep or let her shine in her own way.
And we have to remember that they just started school in the episode before. Mary knows how to read. Mary knows how to write. Laura is learning and formulating and excelling according to the last episode. So I would have given her some grace. But, that's Caroline, and that's fine.
She's really prim. Like, the more I'm watching the show, the more I'm like, man, she really is all up in her religion. Like, she won't do anything if the Bible says it's not good. Or
did you see when Laura's being taught how to spit? Like, ooh. Girl.
Oh, yeah. That nasty Mr. Edwards, I tell you.
Yes, Mr. Edwards. But the family is endearing and they're growing, and we're only on episode 3.
Yeah, that's right. And we end this episode with Nels letting Charles know that he's super jealous of his family. And I think Nels wishes that his kids' essays were as heartfelt as the Ingalls, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's Country Girls, man. This was a great episode, and I'm so glad that you came on to join me with this. Thank you so much again, DeeDee.
Thank you for having me, Steve, and thank you for your patience, and I apologize for the misunderstanding, but I think today's episode was wonderful. It's been a pleasure to be here. I know I can be chatty, so thank you for bearing with me and listening. It's been great.
You're talking to Mr. Chatty here, so like it goes both ways.
Okay, good.
I forgot to do one last thing before we leave, the cry counter. I don't know if I'm going to have like a little drop to come in here, but who cried this episode and what did they cry about? The only thing I saw was when Ma was crying as Laura was reading the essay. And then earlier, Ma also cried in gratitude that her family loves her so much. Do you remember any other tears being squeezed by anybody in this episode?
You mean besides me?
Okay. Deshanta cried a little bit too.
Like, it's just touching, man. Family love is touching. I can't say that I recall any of the crying episodes, but it was a good episode.
It was. It at least had that, so we can give it that much. Before we get out of here, please tell us your show and your T-shirt organization one more time, please.
My show is GenX Gon Give It To Ya. That's GenX, which is one word, GON, Give It To Ya, YA.com. There's a website. I also have Sick Like Minds, Sick Like MINES.com. There's a website. Awesome T-shirts. I got some stuff for babies, like onesies and stuff. And also, what I do want to mention quickly, and I didn't mention it earlier, I apologize, but I was recently on a podcast called Hype Talks, where I explore my spiritual journey and how that came about and what I'm doing with that. And you can find that on Spotify and YouTube and everywhere else. Catherine Hinchney is the host, and that's what I've been up to lately. And I thank you again for having me, Steve. And I hope we can collaborate on something else, because I think we got something going here.
I agree. And Stevie B going to give it to you. So for everybody else, and for me and DeeDee, I hope everybody out there finds water and shade and shoes and your tin cup. And from all of us, bye-bye.
Bye. Peace.